great power comes great responsibility.
Are you afraid that I'm gonna turn into some kind of criminal?
Hey, what's up? Since you guys really liked the what if where Subaru controls return by death, in this video, I wanted to do something similar. Today we're going to see what would happen if Subaru was summoned with all the powers that Reinhard has. But that's obvious, Baru, he'd be a generic isekai protagonist. Would he really? Let's see. Since Reinhard already has over 200 divine protections, besides extreme physical strength, extreme agility and speed, in this analysis, I will take 3 rules into account. First, Subaru will be summoned with all of Reinhard's divine protections, except the Sword Saints, since only people who are members of the Astrea family can inherit it. Logically, he is not an Astrea, so there's no way he can have that divine protection, okay? And it would be strange. What if Reinhard met him? He would find it very strange for someone who is not an Astrea to have that divine protection too. Second, the divine protection of the divine blessing won't be able to give the Sword Saint divine protection to Subaru. It automatically cancels itself out, in this case, because of the first rule. And besides, the author said that this divine protection doesn't grant other divine protections just by desire. It depends on Odd Laguna's interpretation and the user's necessity. Furthermore, with the new information from the current arcs, there are divine protections that are unique. So this also makes it difficult for Subaru to have that specific divine protection. So this divine protection won't give him the Sword Saints. And lastly, Subaru won't have return by death. Since the author said that people who possess authorities cannot have divine protections and vice versa, Subaru in this analysis won't have return by death, just the divine protections. And trust me, he won't even need return by death, even if he had it, okay? Regarding Satella, let's imagine she summoned Subaru through an agreement with Odd Laguna. Instead, the return by death, he would be summoned with all the divine protections he could possibly possess. And just like in the Control If, this video is a purely personal creation of mine. It's just a vision of what Subaru's behavior and actions would be like if he had these powers in the story, okay? In Tappei's hands, it could be totally different. In this video, I'm going to cover from Arc 1 to Arc 4, at least for now. If you guys really like this video, I'll make a sequel covering Arc 5 and Arc 6. That said, let's see what it would be like if Subaru was summoned as a god. Subaru is summoned to the parallel world for the first time. He's a little surprised at first, but soon he gets used to it. It was his dream to go to that fantasy world, as he knew from the isekai he read. Walking through the city, he sees a woman in the middle of the road, in danger. He feels he has to run to help, and ends up saving her from being hit by the dragon carriage. He becomes extremely proud of his heroic action, and feels that he was truly summoned as a hero to that world, and feels that he will be a legendary hero. As usual, of course, he complains about his starting kit, which was garbage, right? But he felt much stronger than on Earth. He wasn't even paying that much attention to his kit. He enters an alley to explore the city more and ends up running into 3 bandits we know very well. As usual, they mock Subaru right at first, but soon after he stares at them, they feel a lot of fear. The very strong aura emanating from Subaru was the same aura that was known by Reinhard, the Sword Saint. This aura conveyed such a great presence that the targets were afraid to confront him. Afraid, they tried to run away, but he quickly catches them before they leave the alley. Subaru grabs the bandits and sees in their minds that they intended to rob him. Subaru was using one of Reinhard's most interesting divine protections, mind reading. And I'm going to abuse this divine protection a little bit in this analysis, because it's very interesting. Even lightly, he can still read the minds and intentions of those he wants. Subaru feels that it's not just his physical strength and agility that were far above normal, but he also had these divine protections that made his life much easier. A lot of information was entering his head, but since he had all his stats improved, assimilating all the information wasn't such a difficult task. Subaru threatens them and says that if he sees them stealing again, he will finish them off. After all, he wanted to be the new hero of that world. Soon after Subaru scares the bandits away, Felt passes by him. He doesn't quite understand what's going on because she just breezes past him without further ado. He ignores it and starts walking a little more. Seconds later, he finds out. A beautiful silver-haired girl was chasing her and Subaru is enchanted by her. Could she be the beautiful girl he thought had summoned him? Well, almost. And since Subaru was summoned and he already had that hero complex, he felt he had to do something, even without knowing why the two were running or what the silver-haired girl's name was. He rushes with extreme speed near Emilia and asks why she's running after the blonde girl. Emilia, startled by the extreme speed of that stranger, only says breathlessly that she was robbed. Hearing this, Subaru smiles and decides to turn on turbo mode. Even though Felt was quite fast, there was no way to compare with Subaru. He was unbeatable in speed. Even on foot, he could be faster than someone like Felt. Felt is captured and is forced to say what she was going to do with the insignia. She reveals that she was going to sell it to a client. After all, the request had been made and she was doing her part. Emilia is very curious after all. Who would want her special insignia? That was very strange. They force Felt to show them where the purchase would be, and it's Old Man Rom's shack. Rom is left without reaction due to Subaru's extreme strength, and Emilia's ice stakes pointed at him. She wanted to know who the other person who would be Felt's client was. Since Old Man Rom and Felt were being forced by Emilia and Subaru to behave as if nothing had happened, Elsa arrives at the shack and introduces herself as the buyer of Emilia's stolen insignia. Subaru tries to ask who the insignia was for, since he was also curious, just like Emilia. And Elsa said that she doesn't talk about her clients, and since Elsa is great at asking things, she asks why he also wanted the insignia. And in this scene, Subaru was kinda dumb, just like in the main story, and accidentally ends up saying it's to return it to the owner who was next to him. Soon after Elsa hears this, she opens a smile. She was already thinking about gutting everyone there in that room. Subaru senses Elsa's threatening danger and steps in front of Emilia before she is hit.
For the guts! Get away!
Subaru grabbed Elsa's cleaver with his fingertips and broke it very easily. Elsa jumps back and throws her other cleaver in Subaru's direction, who ends up not even moving. The knife deflects its trajectory as if by magic. She lunges at Subaru, but he dodges with extreme speed and strikes her with a single kick. The kick was so powerful that Elsa's body flew away, destroying Rom's hut and 3 more houses ahead.
Look at you, my.
Elsa, insatiable as she is, returns even very injured with a huge smile on her face. A warrior like that who wasn't even known, fighting in such an impressive way, made Elsa very happy. He was the perfect target for her. Subaru dodges several of her attacks using the divine protection of the arrow and the divine protection of first sight. While he was dodging, he tries to use the divine protection of mind reading to try and see into Elsa's head. He tries very hard, but he can't find out who her employer is. Besides the mental reading being superficial, something in her mind blocked the employer's identity. He couldn't even see names or faces. He only felt Elsa's insatiable bloodlust. There was no possibility of an extraction there. Subaru, with no choice, grabs Old Man Rom weapon and hits the ground so hard that makes Elsa to be buried by the rubble. Taking advantage of the gap, he tells everyone to get out of there.
I'll kill you, you shitbag! I'll blow you away and get... a happy ending. There's not a shadow of her left, let alone a body. He did all that with just one swing?
As soon as everyone leaves, Subaru starts searching the rubble, but Elsa's body wasn't there. There was no body. Emilia thanks him profusely for her being saved by Subaru, and for him giving all that help to strangers. Subaru, at the height of his pride, boasts like a great hero who helped his beloved, and with that he asks her name, and she replies, saying that her name was Emilia. Even Puck, who did almost nothing in that fight, projects himself out of the crystal, and praises Subaru for his courage. And at this point in the story, Puck already trusted Subaru because he saw no malice in his thoughts. Just as Subaru could feel the emotions, intentions, and thoughts of his targets, Puck also felt them. He really just wanted to help Emilia. Since Subaru was never killed, Reinhard was also never called. And since Felt never ran for help, Reinhard never appeared to help. And the fate that Felt and Old Man Rom had wasn't very good. They were arrested. Stealing from a royal candidate is not very smart. And since Subaru didn't have much anywhere to go, and he was also in love with Emilia, he asks her if he can go to her place, at least, just to learn more about that world. And Emilia couldn't refuse a favor to the guy who saved her life, and saved her insignia, right? She ends up accepting. And once at the mansion, Roswell is very happy to know that Subaru managed to prevent a famous assassin from killing Emilia and others. Roswell, in a way, also had a debt to him, whether he wanted to or not. And with that, he asked Subaru what his request was. And Subaru said he only wants to stay close to Emilia as a knight. Since he was never formally named a knight, he was only titled as a bodyguard. Both Ram and Rem saw no problem with Subaru helping Emilia. Since he never died, and didn't have returned by death, he didn't emanate any witch's scent. And since Roswell only gave the order to kill if the person was suspicious, they never did anything to him. And regarding Beatrice, well, she treats him the same as always. Subaru would sometimes go to the kitchen and the other rooms to chat with the staff, and he took advantage of this to show how incredible he was at anything, whether cutting vegetables like a culinary master, or trimming the lawn as if he were the world's greatest gardener. There was no sad day for him, that's the truth. Subaru liked to test his divine protections with a certain frequency, and well, I think anyone who gained so much power would enjoy testing them, right? From time to time, Subaru would visit Arlam village with Rem to buy supplies. He went of his own free will, he didn't need to go there. He wanted to learn more and more about that world, while staying close to Emilia, and to set a good example, he also helped others. Besides being strong, he also wanted to create a good image for himself. So he went to the village, played with the children, boosted everyone's morale. He was very charismatic and also took the opportunity to test his divine protections. In one of these events where Subaru goes to the village with Rem, he notices one of the children with a puppy. Subaru pets the puppy, but the puppy seems to not like him very much. It tries to bite Subaru, but nothing happens. His divine protections protected him, even from a bite.
Oh, now's my chance.
if you'll excuse me. There's the sensation I've longed for. You know, for a stray, your fur feels pretty fantastic, pup. Hey, you've got a big bald spot on top of your head. Is it a scar? What did you walk in today?
And of course, it was a bit unethical, but he read everyone's mind there. The children's, Rem's anyway. The guy invaded everyone's privacy. Until a point came when he read that little girl's mind, he discovered something terrible. She had bloodthirsty thoughts. Despite appearing to be quite calm, she had a sincere smile, but something emanated from that girl. Something so terrible and repugnant that it couldn't be hidden. That was exactly what Subaru felt. He found it very strange why only that little girl was bizarre like that. He moves away as if to go use the bathroom and decides to warn Rem. Rem at first finds that meaningless, but due to Subaru's incredible deeds in the fight against Elsa, and because he constantly showed off, she believed his theory.
But what do you think we should do about this? Ignore the poor kids who are in trouble right now, go back to the mansion and tighten security? If it's not gonna bother you that all the villagers might wind up dead tomorrow, then I guess that's a solid option.
Very well then.
He wanted to set a trap for that little girl, even though it was strange and exaggerated according to Rem. Subaru felt something very wrong coming from her, and wanted to be sure he was wrong. Before doing anything, he approaches the children one more time, saying that he was going to say goodbye to them. After all, he still had a lot of work at the mansion. He says he would come back another day. After all, he loved playing with them, especially with the puppy. He took advantage of this moment to use another of his most interesting abilities, the divine protection of judgment. Reading Meili's aura, he saw that she also had the divine protection of demon manipulation. That is, she could control demonic beasts. Of course, Subaru didn't see that in a good way. It wasn't very nice for someone to have the divine protection of controlling demon beasts. To literally be holding a dog, right? After the children each start to go to their homes, Subaru, who had been waiting hidden in the forest, ends up capturing Meili. With Meili captured, she couldn't believe how she was caught without having given any reason. He, along with Rem, questioned why she had bloodthirsty thoughts and that strange aura. And of course, she denies anything and starts crying like a desperate child. Subaru, seeing that he had no choice, tries a different approach. Through the divine protection of telepathy, he starts shouting inside her head several times, making her terrified. Meili felt an absurd aura of power coming from Subaru, as if something was going to suffocate her thoughts. With so much psychological pressure, she ends up admitting that she was going to attack the village that night. Rem, surprised, can only accept that Subaru was truly impressive. He continues asking Meili how she was going to do it, and she admits that she would use the demon beast for it. Subaru even asks who the employer is, but she doesn't say, and not even trying to read her mind. Just like he did with Elsa, he can't extract a name. The divine protection had its limitations, and Meili's mind was also resistant to extractions. He knows that Meili was an assassin, but he also doesn't know who she worked for. And since he found it unethical to torture children, he prefers to imprison Meili until further notice. Subaru, who had already saved Emilia's life and found out about Meili, gains even more respect in the mansion and in the region of Marquis Rosewall El Mathers. The village was never sabotaged, and the children were never captured. There's just one little problem, guys. Since Rem never saved Subaru, and Subaru never gave her a reality check by saving her life, she still had that inferiority complex in relation to her sister. And what does that mean? Well, she didn't have any development, and she will never fall in love with him. It's something very sad. I like that romance. But what can we do, right? Let's continue. A few days pass, and Elsa finds it strange that Meili never returned. The secret organization authorizes her to look for Meili at her last location, and that location was the Mathers family area. Elsa ends up finding out that Meili was being kept at the mansion to be an informant for the organization, and that was terrible for everyone to be exposed because of a child. Elsa tries to enter the mansion to get Meili back, but Meili was being watched, and Elsa ends up being exposed. Subaru was expecting Elsa to show up. After all, he discovered through Meili that they both had a strong connection. Even using her extreme speed and agility to escape was no match for Subaru. No matter how hard she tried to flee, he was faster and more agile than her. In a quick fight, she is disarmed and is arrested along with Meili. Subaru tries once more to get more information from Elsa, but it was impossible. It seemed like there was something in her mind that was prepared not to be extracted either. Since it was practically impossible to extract information from the two, they are handed over to the authorities and are arrested for terrorism and attempted murder. After a few months, Emilia is called to the royal capital to participate in the royal selection. Even without Felt as a candidate, the royal selection needed to happen. The political tension between the kingdoms only increased, and the need to continue the dragon contract with the kingdom was practically mandatory. Subaru ends up meeting Wilhelm and Felix, and becomes very interested in going. After all, it was an important event for Emilia. Emilia is even a little undecided, but she ends up accepting because, well, Subaru helped her many times. And since he never broke his mana gate, he only went there as Emilia's protector. And incidentally, right, since his gate was never broken, he never had such close contact with Felix and Crush. In this royal selection scene, he acts the same way as in the anime, ending up making the blunder of embarrassing Emilia. And since this ends up happening, Emilia tells him to stay outside. Then that thing with Julius happens where he dislikes how Subaru treated the White Knights and all that, and ends up calling him out for a duel. What Julius didn't know this time is that he would be the punching bag. In a short time fighting, it was clear that Julius was at a great disadvantage. Even using spirits in the fight, Julius couldn't even hit Subaru. The divine protections of first and second sight gave Subaru such an advantage that he simply laughed while dodging Julius. Julius's ego and pride were swallowed by Subaru's strength, which was unbeatable in that world.
Time I put an end to you once and for all! El Clauseria!
Oh yeah, that face of yours tells me all I need to know.
Julius could have even reported Subaru to the kingdom for disrespect, but since he was the one who had called him out for a fair duel, he had to accept the defeat. Reinhard, who found out about the duel, went to see what was happening. A complete stranger, self-proclaimed knight, was beating up his friend Julius. Looking more closely, Reinhard was able to feel the overwhelming power in Subaru, and this impressed him greatly. There was someone in the world as strong as him, but with much more arrogant ideas. Subaru was very impulsive and much more proud. It would be difficult for him to be friends with Reinhard, and in this timeline, it would be impossible for him to be friends with Julius. A friendship as incredible as it is on the main route would never happen. Emilia didn't approve of Subaru's attitude of participating in a fair duel with Julius, nor his idiotic attitude there in the middle of the royal selection. But since she had a very big debt to him, she decides to be cool with him and forgive him. After the royal selection, they return to Roswaal's mansion, who curiously, Roswaal wasn't there. He had gone to a certain place, and that would later be revealed to them where he would be. Since Subaru returned to Roswaal's mansion earlier than in the original story and didn't even know about the whale because he never took that path, Crush was with that scheme of gathering the army to attack the whale. She had bought all the iron stock from the kingdom and was preparing to hunt the white whale. But just like in the Pride route, she and her army die because they didn't have Subaru's help. Subaru was a key piece for victory, but since they never negotiated the whale raid, the tragedy happened. The world's history was rewritten and Crush never existed. The royal selection was always composed of 3 candidates, Emilia, Priscilla, and Anastasia. And since Wilhelm also died, Heinkel Astria's relationship improved with Reinhard, who is his son. And the problem is that this generated a huge domino effect in the story. Since Subaru never did the whale incursion and never made that plan against the cultists' invasion, Otto ended up dying in this story. Ricardo's group, which is the Iron Wolves, was never called, so Otto was never rescued in the cave. And although it seems that Subaru's previous actions caused Otto to be caught by the whale and the cult, it is very likely that he would still die without any intervention from Subaru. Otto constantly made trips through the Lifus Passage and through Roswaal's region, and in that exact period, the witch cult's activity was very high. The chance of Otto simply being there and dying was very high. Anyway, unfortunately in this story, our boy Otto also died. And speaking of the cultists' attack, this is where the problem lies. Subaru was there chilling at the mansion when he suddenly senses something very wrong arriving. He looks out the window, and in the distance he can see the cultists. The witches' cult commanded by Betelgeuse had arrived to capture Emilia. And as we know, it wasn't just to attack the mansion, but also Arlum village. The problem was that Subaru never predicted this, since he never went back in time. There was no way for him to know. The village was being attacked and Subaru had to stay defending the mansion. There was no way he could be in 2 places at once. He acts fast and asks Ram and Rem to run to the village to protect the survivors. Meanwhile, he was there killing the cultists. Even killing dozens of cultists, Subaru still saw a mysterious figure approaching. Actually, not one, but about 10 of them. All 10 fingers of sloth turned their attention to Subaru, who seemed to be the strongest among everyone in the mansion. Subaru soon runs into Betelgeuse, who feels indifference towards him. And since Subaru didn't have the witch's scent, then Betelgeuse doesn't say anything to him, as he did on the main route. Satala's love was not present there. Obviously, Betelgeuse was having trouble killing Subaru. Even without seeing the invisible hands, he could still sense the imminent danger and instinctively dodged all 10 fingers, joined forces to try to eliminate Subaru. After all, he was giving Betelgeuse a lot of trouble. But no matter how much he tried, the invisible hands didn't hit him. But Geuse had an ace up his sleeve. Possession. Just as he did a long time ago to stay alive, he was going to do it to Subaru. And to Subaru's bad luck, he was a perfect body for Betelgeuse. Subaru had a certain intuition and saw in Betelgeuse's mind that something was going to happen. He just didn't know what it was. Betelgeuse was preparing to take his beautiful little body. If you remember the rules from the beginning, it's impossible for a person to have divine protections and authorities at the same time. One thing is contrary to the other. That's why if Subaru was really possessed, he would lose all his divine protections, right? Because Betelgeuse would enter his body. But there guys, that's where you're wrong. Subaru also has an ace up his sleeve. He's going to pull a divine protection out of his butt and become immune to possession. No, that's not it. Subaru naturally has affinity with spirits. Not to mention that, since he has Reinhard's powers, he also has the divine protection called pseudo-spirit affinity, which always makes small spirits help him. It's logical that he wasn't foolish enough not to have taken advantage of this, right? He made a contract with the spirit. Since Subaru had a contract with the spirit, Betelgeuse wouldn't be able to take his body. This definitively marked the defeat of the Bishop of Sloth. But then, did he kill Betelgeuse? No, he didn't kill him. He went to read his mind too, and to everyone's surprise, he couldn't extract anything. Besides the divine protection having its limitations, the guy's mind was a total mess. And since no information could be extracted, Subaru also hands him over to the authorities. Since Subaru attracted most of the fingers to himself during the attack, few deaths were caused in Arlem Village, giving him an even better outcome on this route than on the main route. But of course, there were some deaths. Subaru mourns the death of the people he couldn't save, and helps Emilia rebuild things. Ram and Rem, along with Emilia, survived, but Subaru couldn't save everyone, not even being an extremely powerful being now. Subaru did not absorb the sloth gene, and his whereabouts are unknown. Returning to the mansion, Subaru and the others find out from Beatrice that Roswell was at the sanctuary and that they had to go there. Since Rem never fell into a coma, Frederica was never called. So Rem stayed at the mansion to take care of things, while Subaru, Emilia, and Ram went to the sanctuary. Arriving there, they discovered that there was a barrier inside and that to leave, they had to overcome the sanctuary's trials. Roswell comments that this barrier does not allow demi-humans to leave there and the only way is to overcome the trials. Emilia enters the trial, but soon after starts screaming. Subaru hears and runs desperately, but he is blocked at the entrance. He cannot take the trial. And, well, he can't take it because he doesn't have the qualifications for it, right? The person who governs the trials didn't let him in. He couldn't enter basically because he didn't have the Sloth Witch gene, as in the main story, nor did he have Return by Death. Echidna became uninterested. And this also applies to Garfield, right? He didn't distrust Subaru because he doesn't have the witch's miasma, so neither the Ryuzus nor Garfield have anything against him. Subaru hears that conspiracy story, right? That the sanctuary people were involved in something, and also added that Roswell admitted that he knew about the attack on the mansion. All this already made Subaru very nervous. Roswell was only not beaten up in that scene because Ram stood in front of him. Subaru, boiling with rage at the clown's cynical admission about the attack on the mansion, clenched his fists, but Ram's pleading look stopped him. Subaru had no choice but to trust Emilia and went to the mansion to see Beatrice to find out what question Roswell had mentioned. Unlike the main story, Elsa and Meili never managed to attack the mansion because they were captured earlier. The mansion was intact, but the tension was palpable. Arriving there, Subaru asked Beatrice about the mysterious question. Beatrice asked if he was that person. Subaru, superficially reading her mind, felt her overwhelming pain, absurd loneliness, and desperate hope. Taken by empathy, he said yes, that he was the person she expected, and they left the mansion. A consequence of Subaru going to the mansion was leaving Emilia alone, and she entered a state of emotional collapse. Roswell knew this would happen and watched in silence. With that, Emilia released a magical blizzard in the sanctuary. Subaru returned running and found himself surrounded by a tide of demon rabbits. The rabbits couldn't hurt him, but he also couldn't destroy them all at once, not even using all his brute force, killing thousands at the same time. He was running out of options until he had the idea of using the most dangerous of his divine protection. The divine protection of mind change. Subaru felt it was a strong ability due to his deep understanding of his powers as soon as he acquired them. He used the blessing to manipulate the rabbits' minds, inducing a state of total apathy, making them stop attacking. They remained inert, transformed from a plague into mere living statues. Soon after, Subaru found Emilia in crisis. Seeing the desperate situation and wanting a quick and guaranteed result, he used the mental change blessing on her too. He reversed her madness and brought her back to sanity, altering her perception of reality so that she could process the pain without breaking. He put her back in the shack to rest. Roswell, who was watching from afar, knew he had lost the immediate battle. His gospel dictated a path, but Subaru's actions, unpredictable and powerful, rewrite reality. Roswell called Subaru after the crisis and, with a smile, accepted the defeat. But his tone was different now. It was one of distorted mutual understanding. Of a dark mirror, Subaru felt a chill down his spine. Not from Roswell's power, but from the truth in his words. He had used the same type of coercive control that he so despised in Roswell. Roswell kept the secret book, hiding it even better, and feigned loyalty. He knew he couldn't defeat Subaru in a direct confrontation now, so he would change his tactic. He planted the seed of doubt. Did he really was a hero, or just pretended to be?
You are truly spectacular, Subaru-kun. My gospel did not predict this. You broke the prophecy with brute force and mind manipulation. You controlled them, Subaru-kun. The rabbits, Emilia. You decided what was right for them and forced your will upon them. Isn't that what I do? Aren't we in the end the same? Two men who control the destiny of others for what we consider a greater good?
I will never be like you. I have my humanity. Got that? And I always will.
If you liked this video, don't forget to subscribe to the channel. And if you really liked the video, consider joining the membership club. It helps a lot and I will be eternally grateful. And even if everything goes wrong, you can always start from zero again.